Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Ignite Technology. So in today's video I'll be teaching you how to add, how to insert, update and delete user records from the MySQL database using PHP. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to be creating the form that will help us to add user data into the database. I will be using Bootstrap CSS, Bootstrap framework to do that. Bootstrap is a CSS framework that already have predefined classes and methods to allow you to directly call CSS codes into your code without having to bother how to make it mobile responsive or not. All of this has been coded into Bootstrap. So the first thing we need to do is to go to our browser. We need to get the CDN of Bootstrap. Yeah, we need to get the CDN. We get the two CDN. We get the JavaScript CDN and the CSS CDN, because this time around we'll be working with tables, and the table needs to be responsive. So we get the Bootstrap CDN and the JavaScript CDN. And secondly, firstly, to understand how you create folder and set up your local website, just always watch our previous video. You will see how to do so. So let's proceed with what we have. The first thing I'm going to do is to go to my browser and type getbootstrap.com. Okay, so this is the CDN. That's the two CDN. This is the CSS CDN. This is the JavaScript CDN. So I go back to my Visual Studio Code, my code editor, and I create a new file. The new file I will create will be index.php. Okay, index.php. So I get the basic structure of HTML documents. Okay. So I can now rename my title to add students records. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to copy the two CDN. I copy the first one, the CSS CDN. I paste after the closing title tag. Okay. I copy the second CDN. Since I'll be working with the scrollable table, I need the JavaScript CDN. Okay, that's good. So so that's the two CDN. I just copy that. Okay. So the next thing I'll do is I need to create a basic form. So how do I do that? Firstly, I need to give the form a title. Okay. So I will first of all call div class card. I close. Okay. Let's say div class card body. I close. Remember that CSS already, Bootstrap already have predefined CSS classes. So I now said after the card body, I call my h3. That's my form title. I can say add student record. Okay. So I close. So the next thing I will do is, after adding the title, I close. I need to retouch this card. I can say card empty. That's margin top 4. And I say call large 6. Okay. That's very good. So call large 6. Okay. So I will so the next thing I will do is to call my form class. So div class is a form. Okay. So the next, after the form group, the next one I will add is the input type. I'll add my label first. So label, since we are just adding name and email of the user, okay? So it's a label name. So the name will be input type will be test, okay? So name will be full name, that's F name, and the name attribute. So the class will be form control, okay? So the next one will be label email, okay? Input type will now be email, okay? So name will be email. The value of the name attribute will be email. So class will also be form control, okay? So that's very good. So the next thing I'm gonna do here is to call my button. So button will be type will be submit, okay? And I close button. And I say save. And just add record, okay? So class will be equal to btn success. That's the Bootstrap default class for button. So btn success will make the button to turn green. So let's look at how our form looks like. But the first thing we need to do after that is that we need to call our form action. Form action will be process, okay? That's PHP. Method will be post, okay? So we close. After the closing button, we end our form, okay? So let's look at how our form looks. We'll go to here. We already need to make sure that our Xampp control panel is on and the Apache is started and MySQL is also started. So MySQL is not running, we turn it on. It's running. So to access our files, say localhost, our local website. To access it, say localhost student film record, okay? So wow, that's our simple form. So the next thing we are going to do is to create our table, okay? So after the form, we create our table. So first thing we will do before this div class, add a row. Say div class row, okay? We close the row. So we now say div class rule again. Now close the row again. I say div class cancel card. Now close the card. The next time we say div class. This one we're creating what? A Bootstrap card where our tab will go into. So we say div class card body. We close the card body. Yes, we close the card body. So now say h3 record table, cancel student record table rights. So that's it. So the first thing you're going to do to create the table is to call your words table tag. So you can say table, close table. But remember that this table needs to be responsive. So we give it a bootstrap class known as table responsive. Table responsive. Okay. So we start creating a table. I say tr. Always remember your table row. The td, the first t h will be, we don't use table heading th, will not be name, close th. So next one will be email, close th. So you create another t row, that's table row that will contain the data. And I say td be the email. Okay. td will not be the email. I say I'm a user. Alright. I say I'm Sam Rico td. Okay. td. So td can be email can be Sam Rico at yahoo.com. Okay. Close td. So let's see how this looks like. You go and refresh. Okay. So that's your table. It doesn't look all that great. Okay. So let's just say can decide to style the table a bit. Let's say that add card, and this card we say empty for call lg6. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do after doing this one is to style my table a bit. So I can come inside and say style, in between the head tag, say style. I close style. Okay. So I call my table. Let's start table. TR TH TD. Okay. And then say border to just be one pixel. Okay. So refresh and check to see how it looks now. Okay. That's great. So just go back a bit, remove your table class, just leave it as table. Okay. Let's refresh again. Okay, that's good. So that's the table. So let's increase the table height and width. Okay, come to this where you declare your table, and then say width to be 50%. Okay, so you refresh, or just make it 100% so that it will contain. So there is another thing we need to do. We need to add our action button to the table. So you come over here and say that th, okay, action. So you add extra td here and say td. So let's create action buttons. Okay. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to turn my button to a link. I will say ahref. My first button will now be update.php. Okay. And I'll give it a class. I say btn primary, btn sm, meaning that button primary. Primary is color for primary is blue in Bootstrap, so button sm meaning button small. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add the button name to be update. Okay, so the next thing I'm adding there is delete. Okay, I say delete.php. Class now be btn danger, signifying that the button will be red. That's meaning edit. Okay, then btn sm meaning it will be small, so it will be delete. Okay, so I close the td. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Go back to your okay, so these are my two buttons, meaning that each time I add this record, I click on update, it will tend to update my my form. So after that I can delete the record. Okay, so let me make these things functional. I need to create another file. The file I need to create is some of these links I created here. So the first one would be updates.php. Okay, the second one will be delete.php. Okay, so I will create process.php. That's the where I will process the form that serves the record of the student. So I create connection.php for the database connection. Okay, so that's the 4 files I'm going to create. So let me just fill up these files. I'll fill up the updates, just copy here and go to update and paste back. Okay, that's just the thing you will do. That's good. So I will now say change it to update student water record. Okay, and say here update student record to the form. So where we'll be updating is I say it's update process. So that's where the form will be updated from. So then name the email. So this button will now change to what? Save changes. So I'll be making all this form functional. Yeah, I'll be making it functional. Yes, I'll be making it functional. But first of all, I need to do some things. First, I need to create my database connection. So let me create my database connection. And I say first thing, the parameter we need is the database host. And host is normally local host by default. The next parameter I need is database user. So the next thing I need to capture is the database uses normally root by default. So I capture my database password, which I set to empty. So I now capture my database name. So the name will now be student record, or let's say student DB. Okay. So and then make a connection. I say variable DB $DB equal to new MySQL. Okay. I call my database host first. The next thing I call is database user. I call my database pass. Okay. I call the database name. So that's great. So this is the simple way of what creating a what database connection. That's really great. So the next thing I need to do is to go to my MySQL, my PHP, my admin to create this particular database to make it function before I put it. Okay. A simple way of creating what the database connection. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go to my MySQL database. Go to my MySQL admin. Okay. So let's just wait while it refresh. So the first thing we need to do is to go to our process and create a file. You can say that session. Okay. Starts section. Okay. Now I say include connection. That's PHP. Include the connection. Okay. So let's check whether okay, still loading. So let's proceed with other things. So can I say that if server request underscore method is equal to post. Okay. Post, then we call the name. The first thing we have this we have our name. Okay, suppose check the name, make sure you get the real value of the variable, the real value of the attribute name in your form. So the real value is f name. Okay, that's full name. Now get email. Post email. Okay, so that's the two word files. I cannot just store into the database. I will now say that I'm a student rec to report to DB using the prepare statement. Okay, and now say insert into students. That's the name of the table. Values. Since I'm using prepare statement, I'm going to escape strings. Okay, so I'll say that value will be name. Okay, name. The next thing will be email. Okay, so now escape strings. So I'm not buying param, and I say student rec bind param. That's it. Okay. Email. I say that if student rec is execute, that this executes, we now have a session success. So we use the JavaScript a lot. I say the session success script. Okay, alert to be student record added successfully. Okay, and give a header location and be with my index. Okay, so let's create our database tables. So creating my first database. database name is student underscore db. Okay, great. So the first step is students. Okay, and create. ID should be auto incremental. Okay, and the length should be 11. So the next now is name, email. Name will be variant character. Your varchar value is 245. Should be null. Email should be variant characters varchar. Length 245. No. So the next one you have is your status. Should be int type should be integer 11. So as defined will be 1. Okay. So you now save. So automatically you have created your watch DB. Okay. Created your table in the database that will be housing these records. So there is the next thing we are going to do. We'll go back to our index page. Okay. Go back to our index. So on top of this record, we call our session variable as if it sets session success. You now insert session success. Okay, you now call your session variable, echo it out. So session success. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add record. So let's add record. So add maybe coder man. Okay, I see email is coder 2020 at gmail.com. Okay, so add. Okay, it's added. Okay, so you can see the record is added. Why is not echoing is because I didn't start session, so it needs to print a success message. So let me start session first so that it can give me a success message. Okay, there's a refresh and try out another record. So I can say that San Lee Isan at gmail.com. Now add record. So Isan is adding. So let's just adjust this. You can see that let's adjust it in paragraph. Okay. Can I see that style, color, pretty green. Okay. So let's just update some settings. Go to process. This from scripts. So let's add another record. What's an index? Let's see, try add gmail.com. Okay, so you can see that it's telling you what student record added successfully. So now we have completed adding records to the database. So we need to call or display our records in the table so that we can be able to see our records on the table. So how do we do that? We go back to our code editor. On the index page, we locate our table. Okay, our connection has been created. So we locate our table. First thing, on top of the table, we try to fetch details of the table. I say students query. You can give your variable any name. DB. That's the variable name using the database connection. Query. And I say select all from, okay, students. Let's select all from students to be able to display all record of the students. Okay, so we close. So the next thing you need to do is now you need to fetch associative array to be able to display this record. I would then say that PHP while, okay, while row is equal to student q fetch associative array. Okay, I end the statement. After that, I will come and close the statement here. So I'll close the statement here. So that's how it's gonna work. So I end and try to close the statement. So I now call the column that bears the name of the student, call the column that bears the email of the student. So I'll now say that PHP echo, this is another way of writing echo statement in PHP. So PHP echo row, column that bears the name of the student is name. Okay, I save. Then I call the column that bears the email. So column that bears the email of the student's email. Okay, so I will now try to make this more unique, the link more unique, by saying I'm PHP and say maybe ID equal to, I add a get parameter and say row ID. Okay, so that each time you select the button, it will either update or delete the exact ID you selected the button, the exact row you selected the button. So ID or to row ID. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so let's refresh. Wow, so that's the whole record we have added to the database. So let's add one more record and see whether what we are doing is really true. And I say Joanne James, and I say that James Joanne at gmail.com. So let's add this James Joanne to check whether the record will print in this table. Okay, wow, that's the record, Joanne James. You can see the record in the table. That's very cool. So the next thing we are going to do is to make this delete button functional. Not only making it functional, we still make the what update button functional. So let's start with the delete button first. So you go to your delete.php and you call the ID. How do you do that? You say PHP. First of all, start your session. Session starts. Okay. And I say that you include the database connection. And now I say that if it sets using the get ID, okay, can name your ID to be delete, can name it any variable and say $delete is equal to what? Get ID. So what happens? Now run your delete query. I can say my delete query, delete queue, will be now db query. Okay, so I use the delete statement of the MySQL, delete from students. Okay, where ID is equal to what? The ID you selected. Okay, so if delete executes, should I print a statement? Yes. Should not be session error. Okay, let's use session. Let's use a session delete to differentiate. Okay, and so that student record removed successfully, and give it a header location. We do the index. Okay, that's the way you write your index. Okay, so let's try to create this, make this delete session variable functional. I go back to my index, come on top of my table. So I need to make it functional. And I say that I have PHP. If it sets session delete, okay. If it sets session delete, I call my session variable inside paragraph and say that session delete. Okay, I close my paragraph and now close my session. So on set, you end your sessions. Session delete. Okay, so I'll make this red. Okay, to show error that something was removed, indicating something that was removed. So that's color to be red. Okay, and that's it. So let's try to remove record and see what happens. It refreshes. Let's try to remove. Let's remove Sandy. Can see student record removed successfully. So Sandy has been removed. Let's remove tribe Abby. Can delete. See tribe Abby is being removed. Student record being removed successfully. So let's now work on the update button. Okay. So you go to the update page. So update process. So what are we going to do? Create a new file and call it update process.php. So that's where we process. So what you just need to do is just to copy back the code here. Copy back the code here, just do small editing. So press the code here. Okay. So what you are going to do is a little editing. Okay. So but the editing will be on this page. You start from the update first, and I say here you first of all call the PHP start session starts. We include the database connection, the connection.php. Okay, you then call your get variable. You say that if it sets get ID, okay, and say that edit is equal to what? Get ID. Please, you can name your variable anything, but it must maintain the PHP variable naming convention. Okay, so I now call the query and I say my edit query is equal to what? db query select all from students where ID is equal to edit. So I'm selecting the details, the record of this particular ID, this particular student I just clicked. So I now call fetch ASOC array. I would not say that find E. Can name my row anything, row variable anything. E edit Q fetch what? Associative what array. So I just want to open a form whereby when you click and say update, you see the record and be sure that the record you're updating is right. So the next thing I will do is to fetch these details. Okay, I first of all fetch the value. So value, the value now will not be E. Okay, name. So I fetch email, so the value, and then E, echo false, E, email. So after calling all these things, the next thing I need to do is I need to call a hidden input, and I say input type. Input type hidden. So the hidden input will be my ID, value, and my edits. Always remember to echo it out. If not, it won't work. So name. I can say the name to be EID. Okay, so there is a little changes I will do. So if you want to know whether this thing is correct, let's try to run. If we click on update Codaman, you will see it brings a form out for us, and the form it will bring for us now, we have the details of this words user. So see update, you can see that it has the details of this word user, right? Yeah, that's very good. So we don't really need the table, so we delete the table. Yeah. So we refresh. Well, you can see it. So we need to change the email and see how it works. So let's go back to create our processing page. So that's process, okay? That's process. So that's process. Update process, okay? So we need to call this ID first. EID. First, do some changes on this. Okay? So we are still going to use our prepare statement, but this is how it works. Instead of using insert into blah blah blah, we are going to do it like this. So now use the update statement. Say update students, okay? Set name to be what? empty because you're using prepare statement. We want to escape strings. Okay, empty. We say email but empty. Okay, where id is equal to what? So eid. So it will only update where this id is. Okay, so we are updating what? Two things. So we now say that let's change the variable a bit. So student updates. Then if student what? Updates, now be changes saved successfully. Changes saved successfully. So I want these sessions variables to be showing on my index words page. So change saved words successfully. So let's see how it works, whether it works what perfectly. Okay, let's go back. So let's say this code man submitted a new email address, and his email address is mancode@gmail.com. Now click on save changes. You can see that what changes saved successfully, and you can see them on the table. Coderman has now changed his email from the former email to the current email, mancode@gmail. So that's all for this video. So thank you for this video. Please, if you find this content useful, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Share also, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also visit our website www.ignite.technologies. Turn on your notification bell for